August 1916, during the Battle of the Somme. A Company, 13th Battalion, Australian Imperial Infantry stand with bayonets fixed in their trenches, anticipating the whistle blasts that will signal their turn to go over the top and assault their objective at Mouquet Farm. They are commanded by Captain Harry Murray, one of the finest officers in the AIF. As they wait, the Germans open up a sudden, fierce barrage, and the diggers crouch down as the awful shrieks of shells rend the air and explode all around them. A Company and the rest of the 13th Battalion take casualties, as do the 2 battalions on either side. Nevertheless, the whistles blow, the Australians clamber up the ladders and go over the top, advancing steadily through heavy fire. The flanking battalions get bogged down and have to retire. Only the 13th reaches the objective, the devastated remains of Mouquet Farm. Vicious hand-to-hand fighting ensues as the diggers overrun the German trenches, and Captain Murray finds himself in command, as all the other high-ranking officers in the battalion have fallen. Murray has his men dig in and awaits the inevitable counterattack. The first 3 are beaten back, but the 4th assault by 3,000 Germans is overwhelming, and as they are low on ammunition, Murray chooses to withdraw. Although wounded twice, he leads a grenade attack and manages to delay the Germans long enough for his men to be able to safely retire. During the retreat, one man's munitions belt is hit by a bullet and begins exploding. Without regard for his own safety, Murray rushes in and rips the belt off, saving his life and sustaining more injuries in the process. He remains in command until the next morning, when at last he faints from loss of blood from his wounds. This was Mad Harry Henry Murray, the most decorated soldier in the British and Commonwealth armies in World War I. His is a story of great valour and camaraderie as he rose through the ranks from a humble private in Gallipoli to a lieutenant colonel at Hamel. Today on Ulysses Files, we cover his story. Rewind. Henry William Murray was born on 1 December 1880 in Evandale, Tasmania, to Edward Kennedy Murray and Clarissa née Littler. Descended from convicts on his father's side, Murray attended Evandale State School until he was 14, whence his parents withdrew him from school to work on the family farm. It was during this time that Murray's association with the military began, becoming a member of the Launceston's Australian Field Artillery Militia from 1902 through till 1908. There he earned a reputation for being a crack shot with a .32 caliber carbine that he carried. In 1908 he left the farm and moved to Western Australia, where he worked first as a mail courier, then as a railway sleeper carpenter. On 14 October 1914 he enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force, the AIF, in the 16th Battalion Machine Gun Section. There he became close friends with Victorian gold miner Percy Black. Elite machine gunners. Harry Murray's story at first intersects with that of his friend Percy Black, and so is initially a tale of 2 men manning a machine gun at Gallipoli with such distinction that both would be awarded the Distinguished Conduct Medal for the service. On 25 April 1915, Murray and Black landed at Gallipoli and were almost immediately thrown into action. After their company took up positions on Pope's Hill, named after their battalion commander, they were confronted the following day with a Turkish counterattack and heavy sniper fire from Russell's Top. With Black firing and Murray feeding ammo to the Vickers Mark I machine gun, they held the Turks at bay. Charles Bean, Australia's official war correspondent, later called them, quote, "men of no ordinary determination," and described Murray in particular as cool and competent. Both men were wounded in this engagement, Black taking a bullet to his left forearm and having a part of his ear shut off. He jokingly wrote home to his parents that he'd been earmarked, but refused to leave their post. When their gun was damaged by enemy fire, Murray wrote that Black, quote, just put it on his shoulder and walked back to the beach to see if it could be repaired by a ship's armourer, but had the great luck to have it replaced for another. The new gun was all brass and shiny, and what a picture of a returning warrior Percy made as he came up the hill. On 13 May, Murray was promoted to Lance Corporal. On 30 May, he was shot in the knee and evacuated to nearby Imbros Island for treatment. His knee was still stiff afterwards, and so he was sent to Alexandria to await passage back home. However, Murray had other ideas, sneaking out onto the wharf and boarding the transport ship Scotian back to Gallipoli, arriving on 3 July. His knee would gradually regain flexibility, but would still plague him for the rest of his life. Distinguished Conduct Medal. Not long afterwards, both Murray and Black received the Distinguished Conduct Medal, the DCM, for their actions between 9 and 31 May, during which time they tirelessly manned their machine gun, inflicting serious losses upon the enemy. Percy Black was also at this time promoted to second lieutenant. Murray was wounded again during the 14th Battalion's attack on Hill 971 at the head of Sadie Bear Ridge that overlooked the Anzac beachhead. The attack faltered in the gullies and ridges and was nearly wiped out when the Turks counterattacked in force. Only the swift positioning of 16th Section's machine guns under Lieutenant Black and Murray saved the battalion. Both men's gun and a rearguard of 50 men under Captain Harwood were able to hold back the Turks as the unit withdrew to safety. Bean described them as possibly the finest unit that ever existed in the AIF. Assault on Hill 60. On 13 August, Murray was promoted to sergeant, then transferred to the 13th Battalion, where he was then immediately commissioned as a second lieutenant. A week later, he took part in the assault on Hill 60. The battalion diary records, Lieutenant Harry Murray looked thin and ill, but he remained full of spirits, watching and sniping all day with his Maxim. He worried the Turks tremendously, and they retaliated but could not find his skillfully hidden gun. How he enjoyed it. Murray then came down with a bad case of dysentery and was for the second time evacuated to Egypt on 26 September. While in Egypt, he received promotion to full lieutenant and just a few weeks later was promoted again to captain. After nearly 6 weeks in the 2nd Australian General Hospital at Gezira, he rejoined the 13th Battalion at Gallipoli on 7 December before leaving for the last time in the infamous Allied evacuation later that month. Harry Murray's story would diverge from that of Percy Black in Egypt following the Gallipoli withdrawal, as Black would remain with the 16th Battalion while Murray was assigned to the 13th. Both units were part of General Sir John Monash's 4th Brigade, AIF.